What's going on? It's your boy Jay Everyday the brand. Chilling in Brooklyn at Fire Lounge DD 593 3rd Avenue. If you're in Brooklyn, stop by, check out, have some fun, enjoy yourself. You see part of the menu in the background. Come show some love, Brooklyn way.
Hello, good people. It's your girl, plus model Jeannie Ferguson, JDF, whatever it is you want to call me. I'm here to talk to you, the world. Hey, it's Corrine Foster, also known as Charisma the Queen, Queen of the Queendom NYC, hailing from Queens, New York.
Hi everyone, this is Dyesha Michelle Hicks of JUSDYE already, and I'm repping Brooklyn, New York.
What's up, y'all? This is Whitney D. Smith. I am repping White Plains, New York, Westchester County. What am I saying? That's good. Yeah. That's it.
Hello, good people. It's your girl, plus model Jeannie Ferguson, whatever you want to call me, but we are here on As a Matter of Fact. And I'm here with my two beautiful friends. Hey, Queen.
Hi.
It's me, Corrine Foster, Charisma the Queen, CEO and founder of the Queendom NYC, all about changing the narrative for Black women as a matter of fact.
And I'm your host, Dyesha Hicks, repping Brooklyn, New York. So you know I'm going to bring the flavor, and I'm so happy to be here with these ladies today because we're going to, as always, have a really touching, informative, and uplifting conversation.
And shout out to Ms. Whitney. We'll see her again soon.
We
miss her.
Whitney Houston.
We miss her too. I always love you. Yes, we miss her too. All right. Let's go. Let's talk about it. So what's going on? It's so many things going on. But I know we had like a group chat and we were talking, the ladies were talking amongst ourselves. We had seen something on, Instagram, and we started to ask questions, like why do women stay in abusive relationships? Now I know that, my counterparts have had, run-ins with different.
No, I was running with it.
Oh wow.
I didn't have a run-in. I was running with it. I'm like the poster child. So, by God's grace, I was able to find myself somewhere in that, but it almost cost me my life. And so, when I see women who have experienced domestic violence publicly, to the likes of physical harm and damage, because I too have had my teeth crushed as a result of domestic violence. And so when I see a woman who's experienced that and, she's moving forward with that relationship, it automatically puts up red flags and bells and whistles in my head because I know what the front looks like. I know what the front looks like. And, domestic violence and really violent, harsh relationships. I think people are sometimes uncomfortable with the word domestic violence, right? And so it's like that violence between two people that love each other. And especially in our community, violence and love go kind of hand in hand.
Unfortunately.
And like I said, I am definitely vibrating feelings of slavery in my spirit. So, when I start humming and rocking and, those are remnants of an experience generationally. So why wouldn't violence be a part of us generationally?
I never thought about it in that manner.
Our oppressors were violent to us.
Right, but our husbands were never violent to us. They never, and we're talking about during the time of slavery, there was never an abusive husband to his wife because they knew that they were all being abused by the oppressor. Like you said, why am I going to come home to the woman who feeds me, who takes care of me, who take care of my children, who have to sometimes sleep with this oppressor and come back to me? There's nothing I can do as a man, which I can't even imagine as a man
how you guys would feel knowing that your wife has to go and be with somebody and come back. So it wasn't so much of the husbands that were doing it. Like you said, it was the oppressors. And you feel that, but it's the anger. So now, at some point in time, we learn to fight back. Yes? Like, we learn to fight back. And I learned as, yes, I know I always want to fight and I always want to do these things, but
protecting yourself.
listen, that's what they say.
Narrative is being a strong woman. Right. I don't hold you as always wanting to fight. You gotta protect yourself.
Listen, you leave it to Betty. They said Jeannie's so violent. She always want to fight. I have been abused to the point where I had to now learn how to defend myself like I've been taught, and now show my abuser. Listen. These hands are universal. They're rated E for everyone, and
we all bleed blood.
Exactly.
Right.
So I had to learn how to not be afraid, and I had to learn how to kick ass in the meantime. So it's not me being angered and angry all the time. It's just you can't come and play me because I've had that happen, and I had to learn how to let my guard down and just be like, everybody's not after you. Everybody's not out to you, and everybody's not after you, and everybody's not out to get you. You have to sometimes let your guard down and let that one person in to show you, listen, I don't even know how to fight. My boo now, she don't even know how to fight. She just like, I don't fight. I don't know how to fight.
Bless the Lord, because I'm scared for somebody to try.
And this is the thing. You be abused that you become the abuser. And I'm so ashamed I'm ashamed to even say that.
Well, see, that goes back to what you were saying about that shared experience of violence from slavery. And then as you progress forward, and we know through traumatic experiences, and we know through the healing work that we tend to vibrate what it is that we've experienced. Right. So even though we may not be in that experience anymore, we will gravitate to what is familiar to us. What is familiar, right? Yes. And so for me, I've known violence since my mother's womb. I've never not known violence. And so it was so familiar for me to be in a violent relationship. That was the norm. It became almost a sense of safety, whereas if I was put in a situation with a man who was maybe more docile or a beta or was less confrontational, I didn't even know if he liked me. I couldn't even perceive an attraction towards me because I was so familiar with aggression being attached to love. Wow. And it took a lot of work and a lot of healing in order to get to a place where I could identify that there was something wrong with my perception of what love and violence and familiarity and where it stemmed from. And that's a lot of work. I know a lot of people don't want to do the work when it comes down to dealing with childhood traumas. But many of us have experienced our mothers being abused, our mothers being abandoned, our grandmothers being abused, the women in our families being cheated on. Those experiences will vibrate with us as adults. And what tends to happen is that when we in therapy, when I would work with clients, my clients would tend to be either exactly like the parent or the polar opposite. Yes. And neither are necessarily healthy, because that means that you're still responding to a catalyst instead of owning your experience and being who you authentically are.
I'm feeling the polar opposite right now in my experience. I brought up to you ladies how, so my first experience with abuse was me protecting my mom. I guess I was 12, 11, I don't remember. I was holding my little brother. His father was being very aggressive, words, hands towards my mother, and all I did was yell. She didn't do anything. And he came around a king-size bed, and his face was like, what? And I was like, she didn't do anything. And I was holding my baby brother, and he just smacked me down. Wow. And my brother, till this day, still my heart, everything. I feel like firstborn. I'm glad the bed cushioned the fall. But man, that was like a hit. And my mom freaked out, you mother. And they fought, and she pushed him out, and that was that instance. And as I said to you all, in that conversation, I said, maybe that's why I watch my wording around men. I'll speak up, but sometimes I'm I'll hold back a little bit. And I still see rage. I know when rage is coming. so I watch myself. But the domestic, I hate to say domestic violence, because hearing how you said, like, to deal with, like, even your teeth, like, getting, I'm like, well, me and my ex-husband, like, well, we just tussled, or he just shook me, but it's still wrong. And
Right.
that, like,
Absolutely.
rationalizing, like, well, I didn't get a black eye. It's still wrong when someone puts their hands on you, your partner. It makes you feel in fear just to be yourself, or any type of
Or
dispute.
defending it when you say, yeah, you know, he swung, but I caught him with this. Like,
Girl,
What?
he's 6'5".
exactly. Like,
Girl, you lost.
5'3", and he's 6'5".
There
and
was no
he
wins
swung,
in that
but it was
situation.
like,
Some
what
of
are
them
you
win
doing?
though. I'm like, yes, girl, you did. Oh,
You know,
why not like that?
I want to take a moment out to acknowledge that space that you had to experience as a, you know, preteen, because very much so, our experience with violence is one where we're trying to defend or protect, and then we become victim as well. And it's like your bravery ended up in a space where you became the victim. And so of course that has to have a strong and powerful impact on how you project yourself into the world or into a room. Because if that's what bravery and courage resulted in, it would probably make the average person apprehensive to be, you know, the courageous one to speak out, or when you see something, say something kind of thing. And where when you start dealing with those inhibitions, then you wonder, are you where you are because of who you are or because of what has happened to you? Were there opportunities that came your way that you might not have stepped up for and jumped and grabbed because in that moment you were never protected? At that moment you were victimized, and you can never undo that moment.
Well, with healing and therapy,
I love
thank
therapy. We
God,
love
God,
therapy.
and prayers, and just trying to change the narrative and not being in this situation. After a certain amount of time, my ex-husband was the last and another partner. I was just like, yeah, I can't deal with, I got to test your anger first and see how we have a disagreement. Because I feel like disagreements are going to come up in a relationship.
Right.
But when you have to put your hands on me,
Because you don't agree with me, so now you want to fight.
you have
because
a
you
mouth
don't
on
agree.
me.
Well, you know, in relationships now, you know,
But that shouldn't be like, I have a mouth on me, so I
right.
deserve to get
Well,
it.
at this point in relationships, I'm kind of a bully. My bad.
Okay.
I'm kind of a bully. It's my way or the highway, and I mean the highway.
Exactly.
Kick rocks. It's a dub. I'm not dealing with you. Like, and
There's
you could
no
call,
second
you could
chances.
call, you could, and it really doesn't matter. When I feel a sense of danger, my fight or flight is not going to be fight at all. I'm out, and that's unfortunate because I feel like you said, relationships are going to have conflict. Right? And one of the things I always wished for, and this is a moment of transparency, is that I was in a 12-year relationship with a violent man. But in spite of all that he physically did to me, and all the babies he had on me, and it didn't stop, right? And people, you see how you're looking at me? I couldn't own that experience because I'm pretty Corrine, and that's what he would call me when he would be violent. Don't worry, pretty Corrine, I'm not gonna fuck your face up. Like,
Ooh.
pretty Corrine. I'm pretty, I'm educated, I'm capable of making my own income, I'm independent, and that's who I projected on the outside. But in that dynamic, I was so desperate to not be a statistic. I didn't want to be what my mom was, and I was willing to hide and cover what was happening to me in real time in order to possibly fix it. My desire to have that family was stronger than my desire to save my face, literally. And so when I see women who maybe are in the limelight, who've had those embarrassing moments, still remain in relationships, it very much mirrors my experience. But the problem is that I know that he couldn't stop. He couldn't stop because there was nothing to mitigate that. And so I wonder, with the people who have had public situations that have been violent in relationships, are we giving, because there is a responsibility as a public figure, right? we're supposed to be giving our community something of substance.
Yes.
So the question is, what has been done to mitigate the behaviors and the root of what resulted in public violence, so that this way the community, because it happened in public, I feel like the healing has to happen in public too. Otherwise, it's just a reverberation of violence is okay, and she stayed, so I slapped you, calm down, you could have got your teeth knocked out.
And I'm sure that's being said.
Hey, it's Charisma the Queen of the Queendom NYC, and we are back talking about real matter-of-fact things, abuse and violence, and how it really is haunting our community, and how sometimes we pretend not to see it. Experiences from childhood and experiences in adulthood, and how it's shaping who we are and how we deal with each other. Jeannie.
I mean, I know, it's crazy. Again, for those of you who know me, and those of you who get to know me, I'm always considered the angry one. She always angry. She always want to fight. They'll call me the Hulk, and they'll be like, okay, she go through stages of, 1 minute she's sage, then she's, she's going lime, now she's green. Okay, now here we go. And it takes 2.2 seconds. I wasn't always like that. I was younger. As a teenager, I was like 13 turning 14, and had my first boyfriend, and my boyfriend was older. He was already 17, 18 years old, turning 19. Anyway, he was way older. And he was always angry. And anything that I've ever done, whatever it was, he would hit me like he was hitting a dude. And me always being a fighter, I cowered from that.
But how tall are you?
5'3".
And so how big is this first
Oh,
boyfriend?
he was maybe 5'8", 5'9".
Can we find him? I mean, okay, go ahead, finish telling us.
But no, right? Right. So it started there. But again, because I was known as the fighter and always wanted to fight. Now, I would go and I would fight a dude. I didn't care anything about that. But when it came to him, I cowered. I was always covering up. I had my nose packed with ice one time. And I had to tell my mother that it happened because the kids was playing and they was throwing, they was playing taps with the basketball, and he hit the ball and it hit my face and my nose wouldn't stop bleeding. Or as I gotten older, there was times that I didn't want to have sex and you wanted this and you was going to take what it was. So this is what it is, this is what you're going to give me, and this is at this time, this didn't. And I was just like, yo, do I really have to go through this? Now, again, I would go through these little things that nobody knew. My sister was one that actually seen it, and she had swung at him and took his head like, don't you dare hit my sister.
Right.
And he was just like, yo, I can't believe your sister did that.
He was a victim.
Right, he played the victim, and I was just like, you can't hit me in front of anybody and then feel like this is okay. But after a while, and this is where I say you become the abuser. After a while, after going through all of this stuff, and I'm getting older, and I'm becoming that teenager, and I'm about to graduate from high school, and I'm about to go into college and stuff like that, and you hit me for your last time. We was in my mother's house, and he swung. I mean, he swung, and I ducked, caught him. Pop, pop, pop. Now, listen to what I said. Again, I'm defending the fact, he swung. And now I blocked that, and I'm like, why?
Right.
Why did I even have to go through
Why
that?
should you be in
You
that
see what I'm saying?
position? Right.
So now, he didn't understand it. Like, wait, she fighting back? So now he was like, so you tough? Let's fight. Let's get it on out. And I'm thinking to myself,
ready.
let's do it.
You was Jennifer Lopez?
Girl,
It was
so
enough.
bad, okay? But it was so bad to the point where my mother didn't understand. She whooping his ass, and that we can't stop her. When my mother went to stop me and I tossed her, that's when she said, okay, I need to call my brother. Because if I can't get it off, he has to do it.
Because it was a rage.
It
It had built up.
all this time. And then I'm mad at myself because I'm like, after all of this, Sonny, you can't fight? After all of
You know, that's one of the things about men that are abusers. They won't fight a man. Most men that are abused. Now, I happen to have had a werewolf. He was violent to any and everything moving.
Wow.
But most men who are abusive have something inside of them that, you know, women too, people that are abusive, it's something inside of them that feels deficient, and they really won't attack someone that's on their level.
No.
Like women who abuse their children, men who abuse children, men who abuse women, they tend to pick on people who are smaller so that this way they can feel empowered.
Right.
But he ain't know he had got the right 5'3".
Right. And I was just like, but my thing is, he knew what Jeannie was about. So it was just like, and again, yes, I lost fights and I
didn't give him that for years.
I didn't
He kind of
give-
forgot.
I didn't
How many
give
years you
him
said?
that.
7?
A long time.
Yeah.
Long time.
After
then
that fight is when you
After
left
that
though?
fight, I was done. I was
Okay.
just like, and I did all of this, and I'm coward. I can't fight. Are you crazy? And my mother was like, once she knew I was disrespectful with pushing her away,
Everybody, right.
and it was just like, now I know I can't do it. And then she was just like, I said, this thing used to beat me. And nobody, she was like, what? And you never said, now I got uncles that he went to school with. I have uncles he went to school with. And he never, and I never said nothing.
Can I ask
saved
why though?
You know, because
Yeah,
I didn't want,
you
I didn't want this.
You didn't want him being
I didn't
dragged.
want none. I didn't want him because I knew
Was
what
it
they
love?
was going to do. Did I love him? No. What did I love about him?
Okay.
I love the fact that you would take care, because again, I always say, people say they love you. They love what you're about, or they love something about you. Most of, they don't have to love you. They just love what you're about, or what you're about. And what I loved about him was I could have the fancy Jordans, or I can have the I was a lowlife without even knowing. You get what I'm saying? I had all of these fancy things because he was old, and this is what you do. I give you whatever it is. And it's just like, yo, I have uncles, I have cousins, I have friends. We all ready to jump them. Never let it happen. Never let it happen. It's a thing.
And so after that 7-year relationship, what was your perspective towards relationships? Did it ever infiltrate into another relationship?
It actually did. My daughter's father, he was kind of sort of a savior or whatever. What's up, son? He's kind of sort of a savior or whatever, because he didn't believe in that. Putting your hands on a chick like that ain't gonna, I'm not doing that. I'm not gonna do that in no way, shape, or form.
Oh, so he put the S on his chest?
Right. He was like, yo, I'm not, he's like, yo, I'm gonna tell you this. If son come around here at any given time, it's gonna be a problem. I don't care where he live, I don't care who he bring, we just gonna make it a problem. He never came back. That was it. I was done. And
He was
just
humiliated.
Yes. But my thing is, and was he a good guy? Yes. Did he have a bad temper? Yes. But anything that you went through or was going through, you had taken it out on me. And I'm just like, why me? Son, I'm here for you. Like, I'm here. I'm right by your side. We cool. Why me? But the fact that I let it go on all this time to know that you a punk. Or to let it go, like, what are you doing? After that, I was done. My mother was like, I can't believe that this is what it was. You didn't say nothing. You didn't. I was just like, for what? Because I didn't want to see nobody hurt him.
Did
I
you
didn't want
witness
to see
anything
nobody.
with your mother?
Yeah, my father
Okay.
was. But see, here's the thing. If anybody knows my mother, Miss Fancy Nancy is crazy. My mother is she's a cool person, but she's off the chain. And she told me, your father made me the woman I am today. I was 19, I had 2 babies, I'm with your father. I was too young to have you, and I was still with him. And again, it's a cycle. Because my grandmother knew, I don't have my father's last name because my mother was too young to marry him. My mother had, do you understand? So none of that, all of that stuff happened when they go, oh, you and your sister have different names. Just mind your business.
Mind
My
your
mother
business.
Exactly. My mother was, now you know the story. My mother was old enough now to get married after, because she wasn't old enough to get married when she had me, although my father had been around way a long time. So it was just one of those things. So you watch that, and I watched my mother and father fight, or my father get drunk and get angry. Did he work? Was he a good man? Absolutely. My mother was still young, but you still tried to do it until my mother, she juked them. And she was just like, I'm not having, my father bled. We thought he was going to bleed to death.
Yeah.
I'm not having, and she flat out said, I'm not having it no more. If y'all gonna take me to jail, then you better do it now. Because if he ever run up on me again, you'll really be taking me to jail forever.
I find it interesting how
Exactly.
it's this was a good man, or this person had a good this, and I'm not speaking much because I'm like, well, my ex-husband is dead, but you know, yeah, he passed away, young man, so I'm like, should I really be talking about, like, I feel bad, And in my experience, what I hear is women still feel bad for the abuser. You know this, you know that, good. But the fact of the matter is, it left a scar, something that we have to heal from, regardless of what it is. And yes, you're right. I do not recall my ex-husband getting into any fights with men, but he had a very loud mouth with me. Did he make me the woman I am as far as having like more of a backbone? Yes, when you have to pull out a weapon on somebody that's 6'2" and a half, you're like, well, then I could take anybody. But technically, no. Like, I'm not really.
You pushed me to the point of no return.
You know, and
like Harpo trying to beat this.
Right. You know what I'm saying?
But you had the right Sophia.
It had me pull out weapons. So mentally, for those that deal with violence with someone putting their hands on you, I dealt with the mental abuse of him. So he said, you know, I will kill myself and you, or vice versa, if you ever leave me. So he threatened to kill me if I ever left.
Every Thursday.
And I was really scared from that. I was 16 when I met him. So I was like, and he was like, no, I just love you so much. So then the charm came in with it. So I was just like, this is like an after school special. I remember telling myself this, like, holy shit, I'm living an after school special. They used to come on Channel 7. I'm watching it. And then I'm like 16, like, oh shit, I'm living an after school special. So, but he was, you know, really smart, loved me. I'm like, all right, like, maybe he'll change. But when he came into my life, he knew I wanted to model. I was 16. I knew I was going to be on 17 magazine going to Paris. Like, you couldn't tell me that I wasn't. And the first thing of, you know, control and manipulation, he said, no, I don't think you should model. Something that I've been pursuing since 6. So, in my heart.
Right. And that's where the abuse starts. Because it's that manipulation.
Right. You would be, we wouldn't spend that much time together. And I thought that would change. I'm like, whatever. He dead serious, was not about it. But basically, the mental manipulation really kept me in fear. And he didn't hit me, but he hit stuff like walls that was like next to my head with like this type of rage. So the moment that I started building up ammunition to retaliate is when I was like, if you're gonna kill me, then let's just get on. But that was like 5 years into the relationship. But by that time, I was just kind of broken a bit, keeping it a secret. My mom is also a firecracker, so she didn't know, because she would have like, absolutely not, you can't be with him. And like, it was really a lot of secrets. But in my mind, as I'm hearing both of you women, I'm like, should I even talk about it? I mean, it wasn't that bad, or this, that, and the other. But the fact of the matter is, it left a scar that I have to heal from, forgive. That's what I wanted to ask both of you. Like, are you in a space of just forgiving to heal? Because that is a part of it.
Well, the healing, I would say for me, the healing part is really, this has been one heck of a journey in healing. Mm-hmm. And so my last incident of abuse was June 26, 2018.
Wow, that's recent.
Yeah.
That's very recent.
And so, when the last incident occurred, I stepped over it as if it never happened. Okay, and so I wasn't even upset. It was no argument. It was no beef. You know, he had 2 babies with 2 chicks, and popped up a couple months before. And was like, kind of just like, I'm home, you know. And I'm like, all right, cool, it's cool. And then it was like, I have a baby. And I'm like, oh, well, you can leave. It was nice. I'm not doing this anymore. You know, it was nice. Congratulations. Do you want, you know, a gift? I don't know. And then, so I started noticing the inconsistencies in the story. Because it was like, he was giving one woman's name and another baby's name. But the babies and the women weren't adding up. And then, you know, men are stupid. Yes. Sorry, y'all. I can't be dropping these dudes. I'm not dry snitching. But at the end of the day, any real woman knows that the voicemail is the key to success. But anyway,
it is.
I found out that the babies' names were mixed up. And then I said, wait a minute. So who's this baby? And then he, like, you know. And I was like, all right, so this is what we're going to do. Like, you can leave, and you can visit the kids, and we're cool. Like, no beef, no smoke. he came back. He bought me another engagement ring. I mean, he bought me enough engagement rings, child. I can't imagine how many. I think I threw about 5 engagement rings. And so.
Did you pawn them too?
No, I throw them.
That's his money.
I pawn. So he came back and he was just super jealous. I mean, the jealousy was out of this world, as if I had 2 babies with 2 men in less than 6 months, okay? And so he started with the like, you know, where were you at? It was my oldest daughter's prom. And I am a helicopter mom.
Oh,
so
that's nice.
I went to prom. I walked in to prom. I rode with her in the date like I really am a helicopter mom. It was really like she was like, go away. So I was supposed to drop her off or whatever the case, but then it ended up being where I was at prom. And when I walked back in the house about 1 a.m, she went to an after party, but I walked back in the house. He was waiting and he was fuming. And he dragged me from one side of the house to the other. And I was just like, I can't. Like, I was just like, I'm exhausted. I was with my baby. And one of my neighbors drove with us because her son was my daughter's date. And he was like, you're a lesbian. You're having sex with her too. I'm like, well, goddamn. He said, I sleep with everybody. The mailman, the neighbor. I was having sex with everybody. And so that morning, I mean, he fought on me until the morning time. And then that morning, he grabbed my neck. And all I remember was being unconscious. There was a hole in the wall from where I had kicked. There was a hole behind me on the wall from where, like, my body was flailing and fighting for those last breaths. And when I came back to consciousness, I didn't know what happened. Strangulation is really a different kind of crime because it causes your brain to disconnect.
Right.
And so it took me a minute before my brain and my body were actually communicating. And I went and I took a shower trying to clean myself up for the kids because, you know, the kid's about to get up. I got to make breakfast. I got to keep this front going. And I remember being in the shower. He came in the shower and I cut all my hair off. I mean, it traumatized me. The impact was harsh. And I said, the next time, kill me. Don't do this to me anymore. I can't live through this no more. And about 2 weeks later, because he stayed around, he didn't leave, and I just was like, just leave me alone. You don't have to leave no more. Just leave me alone.
Yeah.
No, I don't want to have sex with you anymore. Just leave me alone. And I was chilling. I'm in the house. I'm, back to making things normal. And he called me outside and was like, hey, come outside. And I'm like, come in the house. And he was like, come outside. And I told the kids by joking. I was joking. And I said, if y'all hear me beeping the horn, this nigga acting crazy. Call 911. And they all started laughing. And I went outside. And the moment I sat down, he said, do you think it's that easy? And I said, you think what's that easy? He said, you think it's that easy to leave me? And I was like, I'm not going nowhere. I'm in the house. And he was like, the only way you leaving is if you dead. And he put his hands around my throat. And at that moment, it was like the voice of God came and said, fight. And I got to that steering wheel. And I fought. And so that case is now wrapping up. Yeah, I mean, I had lacerations on my face. He cut me with a knife. I mean, it was really, really a movie scene. I stayed in the hospital for 17 hours. And then when I came out the hospital, I got up. I went and got some makeup. I got my car fixed. I went on an interview. I landed the job. I went to the bar. And I just kept going. And so the healing that you're talking about, it didn't start to happen until a couple of months ago.
Because I'm hearing you and I'm like, you just know how to bounce back, yo. So now you're like literally
deal with
doing like the work.
Right. Because that's where the queendom comes from. The queendom comes from when that happened, it was like God put purpose inside of me and it was time to change the narrative. For myself. I was the black woman that needed the narrative change. And so I began to do the work. And I couldn't even allow myself to go into that space. But now it's got to a point where it's time to really deal with it face on, because they're letting him out of jail.
In abundance, abundance. Try to disrespect my circumference, you bugging. Planning where I stand, here first, second, third, word unspoken. Bird, you lay, play, face of a lay. Leave what your chick ready.
Hello, good people. It's your girl, plus model Jeannie F, and I'm hanging out at the Fire Lounge DD. Listen, make sure you come down. They got good drinks, they got good wings, they got good food, period. Got some hookah going on. Make sure you come down to the Fire Lounge DD. 593 3rd Avenue in Brooklyn. Make sure you show up. We here. I see you guys soon.